What's up everybody, my name is Brendan and this is BigBearB Creative. Welcome back everybody to another Landscape Photography Friday video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 separate things, ideas, things to look for that are going to help you take much better landscape photography. So we're going to break down each one of those 5 and give you a little bit of examples so that way you know when you're going out in the field what you need to look for to actually capture some really good landscape photography. So let's start off with the first one, and that's going to be a strong subject. Now obviously you're going to want a strong subject, but what is a strong subject? So whenever you're out shooting landscape photography and you're in an area that has lots of mountains, whether those are going to be in your midground or in your background, they're a great subject to shoot because of the towering peaks. Are very mystical and they really draw our eye, and everyone really loves mountains. But that's not all you're going to have. You could even be shooting a waterfall that's deep, hidden in a forest, surrounded by a bunch of trees, vegetation, moss, all that. Those are both great opportunities for landscape photography because you have the really strong subject of a mountain that obviously you know that's what you're shooting. Even if you have more stuff in the midground or in the foreground, wherever it is that you actually place your mountains, you're going to have things around it that are going to support it. Same thing if you're shooting a waterfall. The vegetation, like I said, around it, there's a bunch of different opportunities to create everything you need for landscape photography, with those subjects being the foreground, midground, and background. So those are some great things to shoot for landscape photography. This is going to give you a strong subject. Of course, there's a bunch of other different ones, but these are very common with landscape photography. Now the next one that we're going to talk about is light. Light is the number 2 thing to look for whenever you're composing or just in general with landscape photography. Obviously, anything you shoot is going to include light, but light can really light up an area and actually make it worth shooting. So light is a great thing to look for, and it could even be simple as light casting over trees, reaching into the forest, or it could even be light shining onto the side of a hill or a mountain that really shows all the details and the rising and lowering of the land that actually gives it its structure. There are a bunch of different ways that light is actually going to make your landscape photography so much better. You can even tie it in with those strong subjects. Obviously, you're not just going to be capturing photos of light, but light is a great thing that's going to increase what you can shoot, meaning that, like I said earlier, with things that you typically wouldn't shoot, like if you're just looking out into a field and everything's the same color, you're not going to want to shoot it. But if you have some clouds placed in certain areas and more light's hitting something else, you're really seeing the light show the curvature of a hill or anything like that, it's really going to make your landscape photography so much better. Now the third one that we're going to talk about is kind of the opposite of at least the first one of a strong subject. It's actually more of a, not necessarily a lack of a subject, but not as much of a foreground or background. Most of the things you're going to be shooting is going to be more of a midground, but that's just going to be negative space. And this is a great thing for those who like minimalist landscape photography, where there's obviously a clear subject and there's not a whole lot going on. It's not noisy, it's not distracting, it's very clean, very simple. Shooting with a negative space is really going to be great. And examples of this is if you're going out and shooting in winter scenarios where there's either a bunch of snow on the ground or there's a blizzard, and you're really seeing the high contrast of rocks or trees or something with the opposite, the white of just the snow blanketing the area. So snow is a great thing to shoot for negative space, but you could also shoot the opposite, summer, over a beach or something where you have a very pastel blue sky. There's not much going on in the sky. The water's very clear and you're just getting a reflection of that sky. It's very simple, very clean, it's very minimal. There's a lot of negative space, and negative space, like I said, is great for minimalist landscape photography. Actually, one of the people that I watch a lot on YouTube, Thomas Heaton, he's been doing a lot of minimalist landscape photography recently, so it's a really fun thing to do, whether that's all that you do or you switch between doing more minimalist landscape photography or a very busy landscape photography, which actually kind of goes into our next one, number 4, of what to look for to compose your shot or just make your landscape photography better, and that's going to be texture. Texture is a great way to create a landscape photography. It's typically a very intimate landscape photography, very zoomed in on a subject rather than the wide landscape photography that is so common. So you're going to need a telephoto lens for this one, but you're going to want to get close up to your subject or whatever it is. So a great example of texture is if you're shooting over a rolling hills of flowers or any sort of vegetation, or you could even get real up close and personal and shoot the moss growing on the trees deep within the forest. All these kinds of things are examples of texture that is going to create more of not necessarily abstract in terms of what we think of more like painting abstract, but abstract in terms of landscape photography, that we're not seeing these wide open valleys and plains with some mountains in the distance, maybe a nice river in the front, but we're focusing more on the texture that's created of these vegetation, or might not even be vegetation, it could be rock pattern or anything like that. So there's a bunch of different things to think about when you're shooting landscape photography, and texture is a great one to look forward. And the last but certainly not the least is going to be symmetry or repetition. You kind of use them hand in hand, vice versa, whatever it is, potato, potato, that kind of a thing. But with landscape photography, capturing reflection or capturing symmetry in nature is really, whenever you see the photo and you're scrolling through your Instagram, you see it, you always click on it, you double tap it, because for some reason it's what we like. We're attracted to it for some reason. Those reflections could be something as simple as you're next to a body of water and there's the mountains and the forest or surrounding that lake that's reflecting off of it. Or you could even go for more of the symmetric route and walk through the forest and actually see the trunks of the trees lining up perfectly. Those are great ways to capture landscape photography. That it's not the typical, like I said earlier, wide landscape photography, something that we always think and know that we can capture. But again, is going to open up what we can do as landscape photographers. So on the days that it's not great outside, or you couldn't go out early in the morning for sunrise or stay late for sunset, go in the middle of the day, walk through the forest. You're going to have that canopy above you that's going to break up the sun. It might give you some of that light we talked about earlier, but you're also going to be able to get in there and get those textures, get the repetition, the symmetry of what nature is actually creating for us. So all these things are great ways for you to think, expand what you can capture, and just get outside and enjoy being landscape photographers. So once again, those 5 things that we're going to look for is a strong subject like mountains or waterfalls. We're going to look for light that's going to open up things that we can shoot. It's not going to be a bland, flat photo. We're going to look for that light that's highlighting something and we're going to capture it. We're going to shoot for more of a negative space, or we're even opening up what we could shoot in winter by having a whole lot of white and have a little bit of black, or even not just white, but just have a little bit of color, or a very minimalist photo that's gonna really kind of challenge you in how you think about your landscape photography. And then you can follow that up again with textures, whether you're shooting a flower field, or you're shooting that, again, that moss and the bark, or just the bark itself. There's a bunch of different textures to shoot. Sand, when the wind's flowing through it and you see the lines, again, a great thing to shoot for. And then last and again, certainly not least, is going to be the symmetry or reflections, repetition, the things in nature that we can capture that just kind of, it always makes us, again, double click on that Instagram photo. So those are 5 things you can look for that's going to, again, open up your landscape photography, make you a better landscape photographer, and just kind of get a better idea of what to look for when you're out shooting, expand when you could shoot, and all that fun stuff. So if you guys learned anything from this video, or you didn't quite think of shooting something like one of the things I mentioned, or if you have questions over what you should shoot that has to do with any of these, please let me know. You can comment down below. You can even reach out to me on my social medias. I'll show them here on the screen, and they're always linked down below. But yeah, you can message me there if you have questions. Send me your photos. If you guys want to talk about what I might think they fall under, or how we could better improve them, or anything like that, I would greatly enjoy that, and just helping you guys learn about landscape photography and just talk about landscape photography in general. So if you guys like this video, let me know by pawing that like button down below. It really goes a long way in, one, helping me know that you guys are enjoying these videos. It's also going to tell YouTube that you're enjoying these videos, and to push it to other people who would also enjoy these videos. We do these kind of things every Friday where I talk about landscape photography, and then not every Sunday, but as often as I could do on Sundays, we do photo editing videos. Sometimes I replace Friday's video with a photo editing one, just kind of depends on the time in between that we've done those. So if you guys are into landscape photography, make sure you guys are subscribing and stick around, because we got a bunch of content coming your way. So one more thing, like I said, if you want to support, hit by pawing that like button. You can also check out 2 links down below. One's going to be BigBearBCreative.com/eco apparel, where I've designed a bunch of nature-based designs, whether they be forests, deserts, or even like a camping one that I have that's another year, another adventure. There's a bunch of different ones. You guys can check them out. Those are going to be linked down below. And then also BigBearBCreative.com/prints. You can order yourself one of my landscape photography prints to hang up in your home or office, or wherever it is that you guys want a little landscape nature inspiration or anything like that. So make sure you guys are checking those out. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Be safe during this time, and go be creative.